There we go. Real.
Yeah, we're live.
What is smoking Canna family? It is your host Dustin with two buds in a jar, and guess what, guys? We are finally doing a live stream. That is right. We are finally here. We're finally doing a live stream. A lot of things in IRL. A lot of things to get set up, which you guys have seen in the shorts. Excuse me. So, me and Harry Cola has been up to a lot. And we're going to go ahead and tell you, man, we're just getting everything set up. So if you just bear with us for one moment here, everything getting.
Well, it just looks like it's running a little slow.
Yeah, it's a little laggy. So we're a little laggy. Other than that, we're good. Canna family, hopefully it's all good on your guys' end. So we're going to get into this what is it, this podcast. We haven't been doing this for 2 weeks because we have a lot of stuff in IRL that was quite stressful, but once we got it out of the way, we were able to get back to it. So here with me today, I got none other than Harry Cola. We're going to be answering some questions that have been in the comments section below. We'll be talking to you guys indirectly through the camera, and we'll see you via chat. So, with that being said, Harry, what is up with the tan fabric pot? And why does it look like cardboard?
It's just how it is. It's a tan fabric pot. I got it with the marriage grow kit.
Yeah, we both got one actually. Yeah, I have one as well.
Well, I said when I looked at the pot and I looked at the 2 by 2 by 3 foot tent, I thought that smaller pot is probably going to grow a smaller plant, which is going to work really
Yeah.
well for the smaller tent. So I'm just kind of running an experiment to see how it works out. And I'll see how it ends up. I don't know yet. I haven't finished the experiment.
Usually 9 times out of 10, it ends up going really well with Harry. There's that very few chances, but even he has pulled off some really great grows in the past. And we've got quite a few under my belt here too. I gotta say, I got mimosa cake, banana, big banana automatic mimosa cake, and strawberries. So now I'm on to the grape ape and northern lights. And I ended up having a solo cup grow, which you guys seen. I had a stunted seedling, but once it was in the right conditions and given a little great white to stunt that root growth and
Or that
development.
help unstunt the root growth.
Yeah, unstunt. Yeah, I meant, yeah, it really took off. It really took off, I gotta say. So I have that in the grow, as you guys have seen in the shorts. I also have three grape ape and one northern lights. The grape ape are from Royal Queen seeds, and the northern light is from 42 fast buds. Harry Cole has also grown some 42 fast buds. What are you growing over there from 42, Harry?
Right, I have the wedding cheesecakes that I keep dropping in the shorts, and they started off in. Did I start them off in little cups or no? I think I started those off in pucks actually. Oh,
Heat
and little.
pucks.
No, it was
Oh,
soil pucks because I use soil in my little propagating.
the turbo rooters.
No, it was just soil
Oh,
and the little plastic thing that comes with the propagator from AC Infinity. And then I germinated in that and I carefully moved them over, but it wasn't as careful as I would have liked into the pots that they're in now. But now they've already been in those pots for like 3 weeks now, I want to say. So
jeez.
I'm thinking about going ahead and getting them into bigger pots because once I get them into bigger pots, they're going to be able to grow, and they're already looking so big and bushy. I'm
Yeah,
like,
they
man,
are for sativas. They start like that, and then they that lateral growth. I'm telling you,
well,
yeah.
these girls, when I did my research on the wedding cheesecakes, it says they could get up to 12 foot tall.
Damn. So they're going to have extreme lateral growth. So I guarantee right now, that's just bushing down, and then as it grows up, it's going to
Well, that's why
get
I
one hell
need
of a stretch to it,
that.
probably, Harry.
That's why I want to transplant it into its final home. And the other pots that I have are really good for low stress training, and I am going
Yeah.
to do some serious low stress training with these girls.
I would too, Harry. Honestly, because sativas are hard to grow in a small space, I would say. I'm growing indicas, so I'm back to my roots. I like the short little bushy plants, the really thick structure,
Well,
and things of that
after
nature, I gotta say.
after the gorilla cookies, I think I have some practice of growing in small spaces.
And speaking of Gorilla Cookies, it was age restricted. So if you guys want to check it out, we Harry's Cola's review on the Gorilla Cookies. Of course, you know, we're both reviewing it. We're both checking it out. There's some great footage on it. If you'd be so kind, go over and check that video out because it got age restricted along with Solo Cup Grow Like a Pro. If you enjoy watching Solo Cup grows and things of that nature, we made a very small, I would say, condensed little list of things you want to do from start to finish that will make it easy. Plus, if you make it all the way to the end of the video, there are bonus tips, and those 5 bonus tips will help you greatly in this process. So it's all explained, but YouTube age restricted that. So if you want to watch the video Solo Grow Like a Pro, go check it out. We also did a video, like I said, on Gorilla Glue or Gorilla Cookies. I'm sorry, Canna Family, that Harry Cola grew. What other videos? We did one on Manifesto Seeds and Genetics.
They've been hitting us with a lot of age
Yeah,
restrictions.
they've been hitting us with a lot of age restrictions lately. So if you can go check those videos out, give them a like, give it a comment if you want, check it out. There's just age restrictions and YouTube hates us. So, you know, your guys' thumbs up on the
Well,
videos and comments definitely helps.
they don't hate us. They just hate everything we represent. That's all.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
So at a roundabout way, they do, but
Now, Harry Cola, I will have be like I said, packages, and I apologize, guys, but I might have 1 or 2 packages delivered, and that's just products that are videos that we're going to review later on the channel. But unfortunately, one of them are here, so I will be right back. But Harry Cola, go ahead and tell them kind of how you have your wedding cheesecake and your mimosa cake, and what other strand are you growing?
that's it. Just wedding cake and mimosa.
Yeah,
That's
tell
all I
them
got
how
going.
you have it set up and kind of what you got going and things of that nature, man.
All
I'll be
right.
right back.
So the mimosa cake is relatively simple. I started it off in the red solo cup, it being an autoflower. I knew that transplanting it could be really difficult, and I wanted to make sure it had plenty of soil for the transplant, plenty of space, so there was very minimal stress when I did move it, which was the case. Um, it's in a 2-gallon pot now, which is its final home. It only has a short life cycle, so, and I'm hoping that constricting it again to that smaller pot is going to prevent it from getting too big. In theory, that's at least, I guess I'll find out. Now, the wedding cheesecakes, they're going to have plenty of space. Again, them being fast flowers, I believe they only need about 5 weeks from seed to flower, and then about another 7 weeks in the flowering cycle. So from seed through veg, it's only like 5 weeks. I'm going to give it a little bit more time in veg because I do like to get those plants a little bit bigger. So I'll give it a little bit more time in veg, and by doing a bunch of training and using trellises, that should allot me that time. And then once I get done with the trellis, I'm probably keeping it in flower. My goal is 9 weeks because really want to do a total of 7 weeks and then a 2 week flush. So within that last 2 week flush, as I boil it down, I'll just make sure that I'm flushing and drying too at the very end. It's a complicated process, but it works out pretty well. At least it worked out pretty well for the Gorilla Cookies. I'm going to do a similar feeding regimen that I did with the Gorilla Cookies, only I'm pulling back on the silica and I'm adding in humic acid only in certain times in the grow. Humic acid will come in again just before flowering, and then silica after the humic acid, and then that'll pretty much be done with that stuff until the next grow. But ultimately, I think that's pretty much it. As long as no major problems crop up, I have been increasing the cow mag in my feedings for the wedding cheesecakes as I've been going along. I do believe I'm going to have to kick it up to about 2.5 milliliters per gallon, maybe even 3. But it'll probably increase as it goes. I do notice those sativas, they just seem to take a lot of cow mag for some reason. I'm not, maybe it's because they get so tall, is one theory that I have. So they just require a little bit more calcium for that stock building. I'd say it's a good theory. Uh, but yes, that's pretty much it. Doing some training, and I want to work on my structure this time. I think I did a good job with the gorilla cookies, making it like that bush that I wanted to see, but it was a little bit too thick. So thinning it down a little bit more and kind of trying to focus on making the buds, just trying to shift that energy more to the top, which I do have a lot of good side lighting, which does help, at least with the buds on the side, not be too small. They get pretty to a decent size still. I don't know. I just got to do a lot of tests and just play with that structure of the plant until I get it right, until I get to something that at least I like, because that's what it really boils down to is your own preference. What do you like? How much difficulty do you want to be able to just get in there and move around the plant, or do you want something that you're like, I gotta figure out how to get inside here to mess with this plant? But the thicker it is, the more chances you have into running into problems with humidity and heat and all kinds of stuff. The only reason I could get away with my grow the way that I did get away with it is because it was cold. And having that cooler temperature just really gave me a lot of control over the humidity and everything during that flowering process. So it was really just timing and season. As I move into the summertime, I'm really going to have to focus on making sure that girl has space to breathe, that she's not getting too hot or getting too humid because that's going to be detrimental on this. It's almost going to end in the summertime when this grows done. So it's going to be a really big challenge to go from growing in a more of a cold environment to now trying to finish a plant in a more hot environment. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to try to figure it out, and I'll probably have to get something like what was it, seaweed or aloe, or what was it to help with heat stress?
Kelp, aloe,
Kelp, aloe.
kelp, aloe, and what is it? Oh, we'll set this there now.
Right, right. I
Kelp,
pulled it.
aloe, and that's about it. It's going to help you. There's a few other things we've mentioned. Anyway, Canna family, sorry guys, I'm back. And fucking, were you done? I don't
Oh
want to
yeah,
interrupt
I was
again.
pretty much
All
done.
right.
I was on to heat stress and thinking about problems that or haven't even happened yet that could happen if I don't. Especially as I'm moving into the summer with my grow, I'm gonna have a summertime flowering, and that's gonna be a challenge for me. That's really gonna be a
Yeah,
difficult
that
challenge.
is. That is because, guys, a lot of people don't take into consideration, but your environment, like your outside environment, like where you live, whether it's humid, cold, hot all the time, it really affects your indoor temperature. And sometimes, I mean, some of you guys at home are like, well, no kidding. But, sometimes that skips your mind and you never stop to think of it. And you're like, oh man, why is my temperatures fluctuate or being goofy, especially when you're trying to chase that perfect VPD.
Right, and then when you
So,
have temperatures fluctuating too rapidly or too violently, that could
yeah.
cause a lot of stress to your plants too.
Yeah, and essentially, so you don't want that happening. So when you're chasing that perfect VPD, if you live in Arizona, for instance, it'll be too hot and dry. If you live in, let's say, Michigan, for instance, it'll be a lot colder and a lot wetter. So you got to acclimate, your growing conditions if you're doing that type of thing. And a lot of tents nowadays have those type of what are they called? Panels that you see, and you can adjust your temperature, your humidity, your
As
VPD,
long as you have
all
the
that.
equipment to do so, because you can't
Yeah,
really adjust your temperature. Like you can run your fans harder, which does help cool things down. If you have cooler water in your humidifier and that's spraying out, that will actually help cool down your air a little bit more.
yeah.
Um, if
It
you have an AC, like the Thermoforge, no, is it the Terraforge, the Terraformer? Terraformer, that's right.
the Terraformer, guys, is made by AC Infinity, and what it is it's an gardening air conditioning system and a dehumidifier as well.
Yeah, and
So
something like that, yeah, if your tent's too hot, you can cool it down, but if you only have a heater, you're really not able just to cool it down at a press of a button, you know?
no, no,
And
you're not.
that stuff's expensive. It's $600 device to get your hands on one of those. which I would love to have
Yeah.
one, but that's a $600 device.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we would love to have that from AC Infinity because it would benefit both of our grows, honestly, and it would be great.
I,
We
I would
love
I
their
would
equipment.
I would show it in every short for the next 2 years if you gave me one of those.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're not e-begging, but I'm shout out to
I'm
AC
just saying
Infinity.
that's
Yeah,
facts. Like every video would start up with the terraformer going into the tent. Look at the perfect environment, guys.
shout out though to AC Infinity. You guys make absolutely amazing equipment. I have your SD44 430 watt LED light panel that has an adjustable dimmer switch. I have two of your rotary 360 fans. I have an intake and outtake by you guys. I have a thermoforge. I also have a terraformer, or not a terraformer, but a
You wish
cloud
you had a
forge.
terraformer.
Yeah, I wish I had a terraformer, but your guys' equipment is amazing. So,
It's
and
good. It
yeah,
hasn't. I'm
yes,
on my third grow
dude,
now. Are you on your
same.
fourth grow
I'm on
now?
my fourth. Yeah,
And
yeah,
nothing from AC Infinity is broke, but the other guys, I won't name any names, but their equipment broke.
yeah. What happened to you, Harry? Why don't you tell them about it since no one
Well,
knows?
well, the fan was propped up in the tent and it was running, and then the fan stopped running
Yeah, and why did your fan die, Harry? Because it wasn't a high quality fan,
because
right?
it wasn't from AC Infinity.
And,
That's right.
and that inspired me to do a video, Canna Family, and we did it. Why not to do a low budget grow? And this reason, simply to clarify it for you guys at home, if you haven't seen it, if not, check it out because there's so many more reasons. But just to simplify it, is you're going to spend more money. Yes, this light's $400, but how many of those lights that you just bought that are cheaper than that, but maybe just as good, maybe say it's better, but how many of those are you going to buy in the span of a lifetime of growing when you can just buy one good high quality light and it'll last you for years to come? So it's an investment. You'll see that when you start growing. You're not always going to have the money or the this or the that or the resources for really good equipment, but over time you can easily obtain it and you can just
Well,
upgrade your grow.
I think there is an importance to, talking about getting that good equipment, but it's also important to have the base level equipment. You need to be able to know what the pH of your water is. You need to have your basic NPK. You need to have your CalMag. You need to have at least if maybe you're gonna do it organically, then you need to figure out how to get it in the soil so when the plant has it, it's being released. Or if you're gonna do it, synthetically with a fox farm or some other feeding regimen, you gotta have that stuff available to the plant because it needs it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you got to think it's just easy to have everything you need set up, like I was saying in regards to that. And when you buy high quality equipment, such as, and I'll even throw other companies, I don't, I love AC Infinity personally, but there's also Gorilla Grow tents, and they are built tough. And there's also Spider Farmer. And all three of those companies really have good products. I mean, to be honest. But so far, like, in the leading industry, I got to say AC Infinity. But on to what I was saying. Harry Cola talked about his growth, so let me get on with mine. Let me move this out of camera shot a little bit more. It will be a little loud, but you gotta excuse us, guys. We gotta toke it up in here, so we got a 2 hour stream coming for you guys. So we're going to be here for a minute. But anyway, guys, what I got going is three grape apes from Royal Queen, one Northern Lights from 42 Fast Bud, or two Northern Lights from 42 Fast Buds. One is a single solo cup grow that I'm going to attempt into a tent. I've never personally done solo cup grows. I want to do a massive one for you guys and do a video, but there's just some tinkering I want to do behind the scenes and get a feel for it. So it's not something I normally do. Normally I grow big ass monster plants. That's kind of my specialty. I just grow big buds or bigger plants or bigger colas, whatever the case may be. It always ends up being monsters when it comes out of my tent for some reason. But so I mean, you guys can even see that with one of the bananas I had to bend down. I mean, it just ended up being massive. So we have a lot of plants, a lot of strands coming up. We got all you people that love the grow content. Good news for you is we are going to be growing on the channel for years to come. That is for sure. We absolutely love it. We enjoy it. We love teaching you guys at home. We love hearing about what you guys use, how you guys do it. We love answering your questions. Matter of fact, me and Harry was just talking about doing a video where we answer all your guys' questions because you guys do pour a lot in and I do respond out, but it'd be easier to do live on chat. We got somebody in the comments section. Give me 1 minute here. We got Southwest Home Grow. Yo, I got rust spots pop up on week 5 of flower. Should I give Cal Mag? Southwest grows. Yes, absolutely. What I would do is, yeah, the rust spots will be because of your cow mag. You hit it on point there, sir. And what you're going to want to do is just up. And, if you're already feeding a higher dose, I would just bump it up a little. If you're feeding a quarter, I would bump it up to half. And if you're feeding a half regiment of CalMag, I would bump it up to full. So a quarter if you're feeding it to half. If you're feeding half the recommended dose on your nutrients, I would give it a full. Even sometimes autos will require a lot of CalMag in some
Those
particular
sativas,
strands. Yeah,
those
the
sativas.
sativas.
I was just talking
Yeah.
about the sativas. They seem like they just like even every time I look at them, I'm like, man, they just seem like they needed more cow mag already than what the gorilla cookies wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So some strands will require more CalMag and they'll give you indications like you said down in the comments. You're starting to get rust brown spots and they'll appear in patches further out from your leaves. They won't be like potassium deficiency, which starts to affect the inner part of your leaf out. So essentially, when you get that, all you got to do is bump up your cow mag, and you're depleting a lot of nutrients, not only from the soil during flowering, but from the plant as well. So sometimes you will get that. You can have everything dialed in perfect, and sometimes for that particular strand, you may need more potassium, you may need more phosphorus, you may need more CalMag. And that just happens to be, the point with that. So anytime you're, seeing or observing any type of little brown spots on your leaves, Canafam, all you got to do is up that cow mag dosage and make sure you don't make the mistake I did. Let me point out, I was using cow mag. I wasn't aware that was like 8 years old. So I was using a full dose of cow mag and still seeing signs of calcium magnesium deficiency. Wasn't really understanding why. And then it hit me. I went over everything and I'm like, bam, expiration date. The last thing I would think about. So make sure you also take into consideration your expiration date. If your, nutrients are so many years old, your plant's not going to be able to absorb it. It breaks down. It's no good, and the plant can't use it. And even if you're giving it a full strength and the bottle's 8 years old, it's only probably receiving a quarter of that. So it's good just to discard that old cow mag and buy a new cow mag. That way the plant can receive it.
Yeah, I think the rule of thumb there is you don't want to buy too many nutrients. Like if you're like me, I don't need to stock up on a gallon jug of cow mag. I need like
Yeah,
a pint and I'm good for my
yeah,
2.5 plants that I can grow.
shit.
So I don't think I ever see myself needing a whole gallon jug. Maybe a pint, that'd be fine.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, I mean, I'll buy at what your grow, So, if you don't know, the best thing to do is get maybe an 18-ounce bottle or maybe a full quart bottle is going to be your best and probably, last you through about a couple grows, about 2, 3 grows. But that's just depending on like your grow. I got a 5x5 tent. It's 6x8 tall and 5x5 wide, and it's made by AC Infinity. It's a Cloud Labs tent and maybe a tent like that only requires maybe an 8-ounce bottle of nutrients per grow, or maybe it requires this. You'll gauge that out, so don't worry about it, but make sure all your stuff is up to date because you will have some serious deficiencies going on if you're giving it older cow mag, older nitrogen for vegetative feeding, or older blooming
Because
agents.
that nitrogen, it can oxidize over time too.
Yeah, and break down. Appreciate it. I just need to get a second opinion. Southwest, no problem. Southwest home grow, man. We try to do that here on the channel, man. Just help everybody. And what you mentioned just happened to be right on the point of CalMag because I
That
have that
sounds like
same,
a Callaway.
yeah, I have that same issue with my strawberries, and that's why I brought up that whole expired CalMag. So once again, guys, I can't stress enough, make sure your nutrients aren't expired. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But moving on, man, the grow I plan on doing, I was going to do a trellis net grow, but right now I have many levels and plant risers in my grow. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's the Grape Ape and Northern Lights. It's up in the shorts. But anyway, Canna family, I have a lot of different size risers. So I'm just going to grow them, flower it out, thin them, the little popcorn buds. We're going to take them away and get a nice canopy going with the three plants. And the other two we're going to flower out. I know one's going to be a more slower grow. It seems to be the 42 fast buds, but I feel like 42 fast muds, when you buy like 100 pack of seeds or a 50 pack of seeds, some are like, it's a crapshoot. I mean, some of them are really going to germinate, and that's going to be maybe 75%, but that other, what, 20, 30%, is going to take a shit, and, you're not going to have them germinate or they're not going to work right. So, what do you think?
I don't know. I haven't really. I think I've grown a few cultivars from 42, and I've had really good luck with 42 fast buds. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta say, you know, I've had good luck with them, but a lot of their things they're not consistent genetics. Okay, for one, guys. If you grow like four or five of them, you'll notice, and it can be make sure you do it at the same strand, and you can look at all these, and not of them are specific phenotypes to the other, which means they don't really mimic the same genetics. Some of them are more sativa leaves, some of them are more indica leaves, some of them are more mm,
Well, I don't think any
whatever.
autoflowers are that nailed down in their genetics. I think photo periods can be very nailed down in their genetics, but autoflowers are just so unstable, you know? They'd have to be a higher in that pheno category.
Yeah, they'd have to be like an F1, F2, F3. Oh, get this plastic thing away from the mic, but they would have to be something of that nature, Mike. More stable genetics, not to have that. And that rudder rallus seems to really throw off,
Right.
the natural, I feel, flow of cannabis. I love auto flowers. Some people hate them, some people love them. It is what it is. But essentially, I think that rudder rallus genetic in them throws it off heavily. I really do, Harry.
Right. It does something unnatural to the plant that it's not really used to growing that fast. You're taking a plant that's used to growing for 7 to 14 months and cutting that down to 3 months, you know?
That is true. We got more comments pouring in. Let's check them out, Harry. Okay. Frank's Canna Lounge, Miracle Grow, number one best nutrients on the market for veg. I've been growing consistently with Miracle Grow for years. Some of the best weed I've ever tasted in my life. The trick is moderation and key. Know what your plant needs. Don't overload it. Autoflowers are the best. Yeah. Spend
Oh
way
man,
more than
they're
they
not gonna
need.
like that video, then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Frank, we got a video actually about Miracle Grow. So, I mean, I do want to keep, but we've done a lot of research into it. And I mean, I've got, in my beginning years, I gotta say, um, you know, I stumbled across a few good yields with some nutrient problems, but there's a lot of reasons why Miracle Grow. And I mean, yeah, it's been an argument above growers for a long time. It's been a very controversial topic. I mean, I'd
Right, right,
rather use Happy Frog
hey,
Fox Farm soil personally, but
right. Fox
I
Farm
mean,
soil and try the Marriage Grow instead of the Miracle Grow. Try the Marriage Grow out one time with your
yeah,
grow and see if it's a day and night. And if it's a day and night for you, never use Miracle Grow again.
yeah. Um,
Just give the Marriage Grow. It's very similar. It's easy to use. You order it online.
Yeah, I gotta say, everybody has their own way of growing. I mean, personally, I wouldn't introduce Miracle Grow into my garden, but I mean, I know a lot of people that do use it indoor and outdoor, and everybody does have ultimately their own way of growing. And that's what makes every cultivar I think we grow come out unique, is everybody's has their own, I guess, signature way of growing. I mean, even me and Harry, if you look at the shorts on the channel,
I
we
use
have very different ways of growing,
I use some
you know.
different techniques.
Yeah, and I do as well. So I mean, in it we combine it together. So that's what makes us cool as a community, is a bunch of people collectively, subscribe on this channel. We build like a canna family, just like a huge community of different growers, different bud users. People make concentrates, people do this, people do that. And it's amazing whole group of people. And we have really created a great audience. I mean, we're almost crazily, we're at 2,100 subscribers, which blows my mind. I mean, I know to a lot of people probably watching, they're like, well, that ain't a lot. But I mean, I thought we were only going to get 800 for years, So once we surpassed that and got like, 2,000, I was like, damn. Like, and people love it, man. And people have all sorts of questions. And then people like, Frank and like, Southwest Home Grow and like ourselves and like Harry Cola, we all grow different ways and use different products. And some of them we found out ways to work with us, which if you have found a way, where Miracle Grow works for you, hell yeah. Hold on, we got more comments in the comment
It's
section
wild.
below. And I agree with Frank from Canna Lounge, absolutely, because autoflowers are amazing. I do love them.
Autoflowers.
Yeah.
It is crazy to go from a plant taking 7 months to
Yeah.
grow to 3 months.
I agree with you on that, Frank, too, because, personally, when it comes to it, I'd rather use organic nutrients, but, Fox Farm has just been a kind of a comfortable go-to. And, I've grown for, a couple decades now, but there was a 4-year span where I had to quit because I just didn't have the space and I wanted to do it. I wanted to do a cannabis YouTube. But we started the cannabis YouTube, and it wasn't until I got into a bigger space, and same thing, it wasn't until Harry Cole over here had more space we were able to kind of do the grow area. So, there was a lot of things I had to, kind of kind of learn because they're new. I mean, they were doing research and all this, but once I got it all down again, it was like riding a bike. Once you do something for 10, 20 years like I have, and then you quit doing it for 4 and start reading, it's like it all comes back to you immediately. And then once we did that, we just started pouring it out to you guys. I mean, ultimately, um, and we wanted to show you guys all sorts of different things, and we wanted to bring it all together on one channel, so all the cannabis content you guys ever wondered about or wanted to watch, or maybe wanted to see on specific things, was all directly on one channel. Because when I was learning about cannabis, and growing and different techniques and stuff, it was just obnoxious that I had to travel through so many different channels and so many different sources of information, and it wasn't just all on this one website. So if I looked up how to make hash organically, I had to go look over here and see that they said this, and then I have to go see what kind of products that they use, and this and that and the other. And it was just, a pain in the ass, I mean, honestly. So I got to the point where it was just like, let's throw it all together on a channel for everybody to watch, and, that way they can have a better understanding. Because, I've met a lot of people that know what they're doing as far as growing cannabis, and I've met a lot of people that's like, hey, throwing banana peels in the soil and eggs and stuff and potatoes and not having intake and outtake fans, and not having a full setup, and all of this is just normal to them. So it's like, you got to have a full setup. You've got to not throw shit in your soil that you don't know what it is, and that'll cause mold,
Bacteria,
yeah, bacteria, mold,
pathogens,
mildew,
viruses.
yeah. So
Mold and mildew together. It's mold.
moldu,
It's mildew.
moldu.
I've dubbed it. It's mildew.
It's the new fucking Mountain Dew, but
Yeah, but it's a bad one. The one you plants don't want to drink. Mildew.
yeah.
We got more comments in the comment section. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, any type of, that's what I hate too, is any type of herb or pesticide used in my cannabis. I absolutely hate it. I want to move over to more organic forms, but it is what it
Well,
is.
neem oil's pretty organic, I would say. That's pretty much the
Yeah.
only pesticide we would use in our gardens.
And I mean, guys, we have a bunch of nutrients we got to run through and a bunch of, genetics and a bunch of stuff. So, we do check your guys' comments. Like one person mentioned Gaia Green quite a few times. I'll buy that. I'll get some Humble. I'll try that 'cause that's
I want
one
to do the Humboldt.
personally. Yeah, I've been wanting to do too. He wants to do the Humboldt as well. But you got to understand, we just got to go through a bunch of genetics and a bunch of different videos, get that out of the way, and then go
Well,
seed shopping
we
again.
gotta use up the fertilizers we already have
Yeah,
first. We got so
yeah.
many fertilizers and things that
Yeah,
don't
because
want to
we
waste.
are, I mean, we do pay for like 90% of the stuff that's on our channel that we've done videos. It's all out of pocket. But we are sponsored, so we do get seeds and different things from time to time from this company. And we do have to go through it, like tons of nutrients and things of that nature. So, just bear with us until we're able to go through that, run through those runs and grow those girls and, get that done and flowered up out of the way. And then, get on to different grows and different genetics and different companies and things of that nature. So, just to let you guys all know out there, because I know a lot of you guys mention a lot of good companies like Manifesto. I've seen somebody mention DNA Genetics, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I definitely get strands from here. And I do videos on it. I show you guys and present it to you guys. And, it's definitely stuff like I mentioned to a few in the comments section earlier today. I plan on getting and definitely growing and showing you guys. One guy went into, a paragraph comment how he grew LSD, the auto strand, and some of his experience with it and how it looked and this and that. And that was really cool because, that's somebody that actually grew the strand and, had some experience with it. So it was cool seeing that. Hold on, the comment section is blowing up, Harry.
Explosion.
Explosion, man.
We got all kinds of people talking about stuff. Talking about this and talking about that. Talking about something in the comment
See,
section.
and that's another thing. Let's see, Mr. Persnickety. Mr.
Persnickety.
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 Yeah, Cocoa Core. I've mentioned to Harry we want to do some Cocoa Core grows. So Cocoa
It's
Loco.
expensive.
Yeah, it's just expensive. And where we come from, I know states are different and stuff, but here you can like either buy it in bags, which is expensive as hell, or and they're small bags,
Well,
or you can buy it in a giant block,
it's not just that. It's also the
like a
fact
huge block.
that the cocoa core is an inert medium, meaning you have to have bottled newts to be able to feed it properly. Without those bottled newts, you cannot get the right nutrients because it's
And I
not
do.
like soil. It doesn't just have it in there.
And I do essentially, and so does Harry. So it's not
Wait,
like we
I
couldn't.
don't have bottled newts.
Oh, Harry does not. I
I got
do.
marriage grow.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
not sure if that would work or not. I'm really not sure.
it is an organic form, so I mean,
Maybe.
yeah, because it can be applied to the top of the soil or through water.
Right,
So
right. Yeah,
yes,
so I could
yeah.
probably just add
It
it
acts
in on
as a
the
bottle
top.
newt
Yeah,
and a powdered newt. It acts
right.
as both. So yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
essentially. Yeah. If you guys never tried out Marriage Girl, try it out. I mean, honestly, we're sponsored by the place, but
Hydro Gardens and
yeah,
Lights.
Hydro Gardens and Lights. And what was grown with it was, yeah, the Hydro Gardens and Lights. They're located in Lancaster and a few other places, but, and they have websites.
Well,
So if
the marriage grow is really cool
yeah,
because
it's good.
all
It's
those new
easy to use
and
too,
the
man.
nutrients are specialized for cannabis plants. It's not
Tell
for
them, Harry.
tomatoes. It's not for anything. It's all specialized just for your cannabis plant. So it is really cool. Like Humboldt kind of is all specialized for cannabis too, right? If I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
yeah. And some nutrients you'll see that some are specialized just for plants and some are cannabis specific nutrients. And that's the kind you definitely want to get. I mean,
A
and
little
as
bit
far
better
as
than
yeah.
Marriage Grow or Miracle Grow. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Marriage Grow is a
Marriage Grow
fine
is awesome.
example. Yeah, yeah, I gotta say. And Harry Cola grew Gorilla Glue. I grew strawberries
And
with it.
Gorilla Cookies.
Yeah, Gorilla Cookies, damn it, guys. I'm sorry. I keep thinking about Gorilla Glue for some reason.
Just want to grow that glue, man.
Mm-hmm.
That
I had
glue
to
is
get a
good.
drink.
It has that
I have the worst
coffee,
cotton mouth.
chocolate flavor in it. Oh man, and it just smells like a foot sometimes if it's grown right.
Crohn's Grow, what's up out there? I see yo in the comments. What is going on, man?
So
We're just chilling, doing a live stream. We've been out for a couple weeks because of some IRL shit that was really stressful, but we got it figured out. We're here today. So we're doing a live stream. So we apologize. We usually do these every Monday and they vary from time to time. Harry, why do they vary from time to time usually?
because shooting content takes a long time.
Yes.
We shoot all our content on Mondays and we do our live streams on Mondays normally. And like we shot like 5 videos
Yep.
last week and 5 videos the week before that.
Yep.
But we
Yep.
also got extremely blazed.
Yeah, yeah. And we were so baked, and it was like what, 12 o'clock? And
Yeah.
there's no point. There's certain cap times where it's good to go live where you'll have a lot of people watching. And then there's times like late at night, you're going to have a really dead. Yeah, sorry about the vibration, guys. I'll have to fix that a little bit. Here you go.
Yeah,
Oh no, that was
it's the buns. It's the
yeah,
buns. I don't know what they're
yeah.
doing back there. They're doing something crazy. What are these buns doing?
They're going nuts, Harry. Hold on, I'm heating this
They're
one
they're
up.
they're, they're thumping. There must be some kind of danger by.
Yeah, I went to brush them yesterday, dude, and got fuzz everywhere. And then, yeah, it was crazy, dude. It was just a fuzz disaster. But anyway, back to cannabis, not
Right.
bunnies, man. But yeah, freaking. Um, so we do usually these live streams every Monday, and we have a docket that we run through. We talk to you guys out there 'cause it's our chance to, hang out and, do that. But we haven't done that for like 2 weeks, and it really sucks because, I really enjoy doing live streams. I think they're great. It's a cool chance to get to talk and know the audience too. You see some of the same faces in there, and it's just a really good time. It's easier to have a conversation with you guys too out there watching, just because I'm able to read your comments, and then I'm able to answer you guys out
Respond.
there. And of course, I'm not able to sit there and type it personally, so don't take it personally. It's just easy for me to read it and project it out there at the camera. That way I'm not sitting there taking forever to type. I don't really do that too much. There's very rare times that Harry's the typing
Yeah,
keyboard guy.
I could probably type faster, but if I sit over there, you won't be able to see me. So,
Yeah.
like, I could change the camera position, but I don't know, man. I think it just works better this way.
Yeah, I think we got a good angle finally. And you can see sometimes in our short or first podcast, dude, we had so many mess ups, man. And it was mostly audio. What was it? Audio. Yeah. Sorry.
The camera died one time on it,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. That was horrible. We had people just comment, and we
It
were
was
like,
quality.
yeah, dude, we were live for like 30 minutes, and then everybody poured in, started commenting. And then it was like, boom, camera
Everything
died.
crashed.
And then Harry's like, wait a minute, guys. We got an extra battery. And sure as shit, Harry slapped that in that motherfucker and got it running again. And we were able to go live longer than 30 minutes. We went actually live for 2.5 hours, I think, Harry, didn't we?
And we've done some long live streams. Not as long as some people, but 3 hours is pretty long for me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's a podcast right there.
Yeah, I gotta say. And I mean, me and Harry had all these
Which
conversations.
what cultivar is this?
This is Stardust we are smoking on. We did a review on this. If you guys have never heard of the strand Stardust, it is phenomenal. Like phenomenal. The buds are all nice and purple, like straight purple. It's indica dominant. It's very potent, very euphoric, very relaxing. It's just a really good cultivar. And I can't, you know, um, to put a finger on it, it's more berry and fruity than anything. You
Yeah.
can really taste that carotene profile in it, like the purples. But for the most part, Canafam, it's just berry and very sweet and florally. So, you really have those types of terpenes in it, and the potency effects are just right on point, guys. We've been smoking it, what, for a couple weeks now, or a week now, I think, and it's been fire. That another strand I did a short on, you'll see a giant fat frosty bud of it in their shorts. It's called Cap Junkie. I've never heard of this. Harry brought it around, and it's some gas, man, I gotta say. And I did a video on it. I had like what, an ounce of this stuff, and it was really good. But I just showed you guys one of the biggest buds in it. All the bud looked like that. It was beautiful. So if you guys ever have a chance, definitely grow some Cap Junkies, some Stardust. Those are some gas ass strands, and I have videos on them out there where you can learn all about them, the yield, the weed. Actually, it was mentioned in what the manifesto. I think it's a manifesto genetic. I can't remember.
We've
We've
done
done,
so many, I
yeah,
don't know. My brain's been scrambled by
yeah.
videos, by editing videos. I don't know how many people out there edit videos, but
Um,
it does something to your brain. I don't know.
hold on. Yes, I agree with coconut grows. Tech is pain sometimes, definitely. But coconut grows. Let me tell you where some fire places to get some seeds. Okay, coconut. Check it out, man. Okay, so you got Royal Queen seeds, you have Herbies, you have Northern Genetics, you have DNA Genetics, you have Manifesto Genetics, you have what is it?
Manifesto.
Manifesto, I'm
It,
sorry.
it it's manifesto, but it's like Mephisto is
And
the way it looks.
Soulfire. So Soulfire, Manifesto, Northern Genetics, you got 42 Fast Buds, you got Royal Queen Seeds, you got Herbies.com, which can, almost overnight your seeds. Same
North
thing with
Pacific seeds, I believe.
Northern Pacific Seeds. Yeah, they're great. Um, and DNA Genetics is another great company. So definitely check out any of those listed. You'll get great quality and your stuff will come either stealth or overnight. It only takes usually a day or two from these companies, depending on where you are. So I hope that helps you out there, Coconut Grows. Uh,
Hopefully.
yeah, he says Royal Queen Seeds is my go-to. Yes,
Yeah, Royal
yes,
Queen seeds has some
yes.
fire.
Yeah,
They
they have
do.
a grape ape cross with an OG Kush strand coconut grows. I want to definitely buy and smoke. Grape ape's my favorite. I'm growing it right now, just the original form, but it mixed with OG Kush, another one of my favorite indica strands. Just boom. It just adds that gas fact to it, that couch lock where you're just not coming back from, kind of like Harry right now. He's, sometimes
Well,
in,
this bag's empty on me again.
oh man, we're gonna have that's the problem, Harry. We're gonna have to fill that one up, aren't we, guys? There we go. Let's check out the comments.
Oh, we got more
Yeah,
comments.
he said Coconut Grove said he ordered his order on the 17th. Yeah, mine usually takes anywhere from 2 to 3 days from Royal Queen seeds. Mine took 2 days, and let me see. Herbies is usually the next day, and Herbies has a great selection. It has exotic autos that you're not going to find. So there's a bunch, and these are all really good genetics, honestly. I'm giving you. Here you go, Harry.
Well, Mephisto too seems
Yeah.
like their seeds go out of stock really quick because they're so popular. Some of their genetics they just can't keep in stock. You'll be on wait for years for some of their genetics just because it goes out of stock so quick.
Yeah, yeah. That's a lot. Royal Queens, coconut grows mentioned, but Royal Queens has a Tyson's and they have a strain called Jawbreaker, and it's $140 for 10 seeds. I really want to get some and grow it. It looks beautiful, like the stuff Manifesto Seeds carries.
Yeah,
Um,
Tyson does look like he has some good cultivars over there that
yes.
I would also enjoy growing.
Yeah, he's got a Gelato 44 that's crossed with something, sour cherry punch.
Yeah, I think he had
Um,
a punch something over there. Was
yeah.
it gelato punch? I don't think it was gelato. Was it cherry punch? I can't remember. It's been a while since I went and looked at the seeds over there on Royal Queen. There's a Royal King seeds too.
No, I did not.
There's a Royal King
I did
too.
not. Oops, sorry guys, I hit that with the bag. But no, I did not know there was a royal queen
King.
or king.
Yeah, there's a Royal
Huh?
King too. I haven't ordered anything or know anything about their quality or anything like that. I just
Are
know it exists.
are they the same as royal queen? I mean, are
I don't
they
think
in
so. It's a different.
partnership or some
I
shit?
have no idea, man. I think it's a whole
Huh?
different seed company.
That might be one we'll have to do a video on Canna Family. Let me know down in the comments section below if you guys have ever heard of Royal King.
Yeah, it's Royal King seeds.
Okay, Royal Queen or King Seeds. Now I've heard of Royal Queen Seeds. Um,
Yeah, I saw it. I look at around at all kinds of stuff online, so I see stuff from time to time with different companies.
for sure. Okay.
Lots of different seed companies. There's so many, it's crazy.
Yeah, there is a lot, but we're going to be hunting down all of them that, narrow down to, I would say, like exotic genetics and honing you guys in on them. So every seed company, even if you've seen the seed company, please check the video out because these are strands out of that seed company that are definitely worth your money and your time.
Hopefully they're
Yeah.
still in stock.
Yeah, hopefully they're still in stock. Understand that some of these in these videos may be out of stock on the website, but you can go ahead and check them out. And they're excellent, gassy, frosty, terpy genetics, that we search for to grow on the channel. So, you'll definitely see them in the video. You'll definitely know where to get them. Unfortunately, we can't put links or anything like that because some of our grow videos like that, where we show you different cultivars and different companies. YouTube likes them and some of them don't, and they have a beef against Herbies.
Oh man, we
Yeah,
just got
Herbies.
age
Shout out to
restricted. We just got age
Herbies.com. Damn it.
restricted. Ah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
said Herbies. Now we're age restricted.
Yeah, it's like everything we do with Herbies.com, or we even mention it in shorts, it gets age restricted. And we can mention things like Royal Queen seeds, and it does not. So, I don't know if, some companies have more pull, what's going on there, or, maybe YouTube just don't understand its algorithm.
Maybe Herbies is a
Oh,
slur for something. I don't know.
I don't know if it is. I
It's an
apologize.
offensive term.
It's
I
a
don't know.
cannabis seed company here in America. So if it's an offensive terminology, then my bad. Like I didn't know. I just go through them to buy seeds, and that's what the place called. And their mascot's a bud and a hoodie.
Right, right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
Herbie, he's Herbie, and
yeah, I
he
don't know.
helps you seed. It's really a real person, but they act like they're Herbie. It's weird, yeah, but it's cool. It's a fun, yeah. If you guys haven't shopped at HerbieSeeds.com, check them out. They're awesome, and they get your shit there quick. And it's stealth. They'll send you like a corkscrew or a flashlight or some shit, and you take it apart. You realize your seeds are in there, and they got them marked what kind, what genetic, this, that, and just yeah. So if you're looking for self-delivery, HerbieSeeds.com. If you don't want people to know you're getting seeds in the mail. A lot of companies do stealth delivery, of course, nowadays, not just Herbies, but they go up a notch and really make sure you get your shit by putting your seeds in flashlights and corkscrews. I've received calculators twice from them. And my seeds, I had to take the calculator apart, can of fam.
You're
And my,
giving away company secrets now.
yeah, well, yeah, son of a bitch. I am. But this is, to the right people, I feel, to the right people. So don't tell nobody, guys. No, the whole fucking world knows
So we
now
just
but
put it
me
on the
too.
internet.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Nobody
Yeah.
will know. Everybody's
Damn
paying
it.
attention, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, damn it. But it happens, man. It happens. So it is what it is. But anyway, they'll put your stuff in stuff and keep it nice, sealed, and you'll be all right, man. You'll get your stuff. You'll get it in a couple days. They're great, dude. And I used to be really sketchy, like the type of person I was super sketchy at ordering seeds offline. Like I never thought I'd get my shit. Always thought, so I tried it because I had to. And ultimately, I've never been burned by any of the companies I've mentioned. So that's why I do mention them to you guys at home. Now, I've seen some of you guys, like one guy had a problem with Royal Queen seeds and he seemed still really pissed off about it. Like, even like he wasn't like rude or nothing in the comment section below, but he's like, fuck them. And I'm like, oh, all right, man. I like them, but never had a problem. But some people, everybody's experiences are different with businesses.
S-
That's all I can say.
Stuff will happen. That's all, stuff happens.
Hmm.
Not everybody's gonna get
Indeed.
the best experience.
Yeah.
And that's like, I can go for any company, any restaurant, any
Yeah.
place of employment. Somebody might just be having a bad day that day and
Yeah.
everything just
Yeah.
goes south.
Yeah. But we have a lot of things coming out. We have a lot of different review videos coming out. I know you guys like those. We just did shit. We just had one or did one on cheaters. We did one on what else, Harry, did
No,
we
it
do?
wasn't the Cheaters. The Cheaters was a while ago.
Yeah, we did the
We
cheaters a
did the
while.
Sluggers. Who
We
did the
did the
Slugger?
sluggers. Yeah.
It's not dropped yet, but it
Yeah.
will be.
Yeah. And we
Um,
reviewed a lot of different cannabis products. So
that's right. It was Muha Med's disposable. Yeah,
yeah.
we got one of the updated ones.
Yep. Yep. And we love and highly rep. Here you go, man. Muhammad's on this channel. We absolutely love it. It was an underground company for a while, and a lot of people discard them as like horrible. Make sure this is still on. Okay. But a lot of people discredit Meds is horrible. And, I absolutely stayed with the company until they became big. And now they're in dispensaries. They're sold everywhere. Their products are solid. Their terps are solid. Their effects are solid. And just they have so many great flavors, honestly. I mean, Blackberry Kush, Watermelon OG. They had a banana one. They had straw nana. That was really good.
There was a lot of
There
good
was
flavors.
just so many Muhas we've smoked and tried. We've tried Diablo OG, Tahoe OG. We've tried the Blue Raz. Yeah, the orange. What was that one? Orange Tangy, I think.
I can't remember. There's
Yeah.
been so many flavors, man. I cannot remember. There was
Yeah, bro.
Desert Cooler,
To be honest, Southwest
Cherry Berry.
Homegrown, they probably would send you something like Kung Fu Panda with some seeds in it. They do that shit, guys, for real. Like they'll sell you your seeds and you'll be like walk outside your door and you'll be like, what the hell? I didn't order this cheap ass flashlight or this stupid ass calculator. You'll open that stuff. So make sure you take it apart if you order from them. And that's why I'm telling you, because there's a lot of people in their comment sections like, I just got a flashlight or you got to take it apart and inside will be your seeds or take the package apart. So they'll send you like a wine opener and of course it won't be in the metal wine opener, but if you move the foam underneath, boom, there it is. So they are very good at what they do and they're an amazing company. So shout out to Herbies. I don't know what YouTube's deal is with them, but they're an amazing company and they got some great autos that you're not going to see, like Strawberry Gorilla, for instance, and just these weird ass strands. And a lot of other places like DNA Genetics and Mephisto Genetics also that we did videos on are, they have some really top tier strands. Manifesto had like bruised banana and for profits and DNA cake, which was one of their like,
Oh, that's the DNA genetics you're talking about,
yeah, DNA.
not manifesto.
Yeah, not manifesto. That's right. It's DNA genetics. Yeah. So many genetic companies, man. Down in the watermelon is awesome. Got great reviews from my dude, yeah, the watermelon is great, I gotta say. Coconut Grove says, the coconut or the watermelon. I love watermelon strands, watermelon OG, watermelon Kush. As long as it's primarily indica, I'm all about it.
I I
I'm
I,
all about it.
I really want to grow some papaya. Get some papaya strands growing, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I like papaya. Like the last few parts that I had from those favorites that were papaya, man, that I fell in love with the flavor of that papaya. And it's just like,
He does. Yeah, Harry Cola does love the papaya strands. But we got a lot of reviews coming up, is where I was getting at. We also got a lot of different informational grow videos coming out. We got updates on Grape Ape and Northern Light grows, and wedding cheesecake
mimosa
and
cake.
mimosa cake.
Yeah, I'm growing it. I'm growing the mimosa cake and the Gorilla Cookies grew in the clone. So it's going to grow in a 2 by 2 by 3 foot tent. So it's not going to have a ton of space. And that's why I'm growing it and keeping it in the 2 gallon pot. Because I figure if I constrict that root growth, I'm going to constrict the plant growth as well.
Harry's want to make some bomb ass sativas, but it's going to take a minute because he loves maturing those sativas and getting those trichomes real amber, so it offers a more calming balance than an energetic. Because Harry's not a big fan of the sativas either, are you, Harry?
9 to 10 weeks. I like hybrids and I do like sativas occasionally. But some sativas can really hit you in the head in a way that it's just a little bit much and it kind of gives you a headache. Where indigos typically just don't do that.
Yeah, yeah. And essentially, Canna family, everybody has their own way why, different strands they like, because those cannabinoids and terpenes hit them differently. So here's a good indicator. It's just some beginner knowledge, I would say. If you ever smell like a strand that just turns your stomach and you're just turned off to it, like piney, if you don't like piney, or if you don't like lemony, or, whatever the case may be, then it's a good indicator that you're not going to like it and your body's not going to flow too well with the cannabis. But if you smell something and you're just like, oh, this smells great, make makes your mouth water, just makes you happy or euphoric smelling it, or, maybe reminds you of something in your life from years ago or something you've had that you really like a dessert or a fruit, then that's absolutely up your alley of cannabis to grow, smoke, and ultimately consume. So I gotta say that's how you go really strand shopping at a dispensary is with your nose, you know. Just putting it together. There we go. So, Harry, you've had like probably 20, 30, vape bags today. How you doing?
Good.
Doing good over there?
Oh, yeah.
I know usually halfway through the stream you're like half awake, so I want to make sure
Well,
that
I normally wake up early, so normally after like 6 o'clock, I'm already going to bed.
yeah, yeah, Harry wakes up before like the birds, the chickens, and the fucking sun does, don't you, Harry?
I wake up and wake up the roosters.
It is true. It is true. He does. But essentially, Canna family, we've been upgrading. Well, yeah, we've been working on the grow room back here. It's been upgraded. Harry's been getting different equipment and things for his grow. I gotta say, I
Very,
got,
very slowly but very surely. I just really
yeah,
needed a light.
yeah.
Now something like the Thermoforge, no, Terraformer. Something like the Terraformer, I would really love to get my hands on, but the cost of it right now is just not feasible. So maybe sometime in the distant future, I could see myself getting my hands on one of those, but not just yet.
Yeah, any type of, you'll learn real quick, Canna family, any type of garden air conditioner is not cheap. The cheapest one I think I found is around the price range of $326, or there's the Terraformer, which hooks up to the AC Infinity, but it's $600 now. So it's 599 and it was 700. I'm gonna wait until it comes down completely, or until they come up with upgraded models, and I can just buy like it. Maybe when it's at like 150, $200, I'll buy it.
Well, it'd be cool. I know the Terraformer does multiple things, right? So it'd be cool if they had one that was just an AC and did, but it's kind of like a I don't think you can have the AC without the dehumidifier because the AC actually works as a dehumidifier. So I don't think it would really work without a dehumidifier.
Oh, Frank said a company to watch is what's it called right here? He said is to watch out for growers choice. They put what they'll do, and I've seen companies do this, Can of Family, and I think this is shady practice, so I'm glad actually Frank's Canna Lounge pointed it out in the comment section. What they do is they'll put this beautiful strand, or they'll put this certain color of light on it and make it look pink, green, blue, purple, every fucking color of the rainbow. But when you grow this, it's just some plain Jane green ass strand, or it won't even be the right genetic too, So, and that's crazy because you got to at least know, like, I mean, that's like working at a pharmacy and putting the wrong medication in a bottle. Some people do use this as a medication. I know I do, and I also use it as a recreational way to get high. I mean, who the hell don't when they smoke weed? But, a lot of people do use it for specific only medication purposes, and they got to have the right strands or this or that. So I think, you shouldn't just disregard that as a seed company, especially when you're trying to build a business. Like, if I had, three of you guys want white runts, why would I sell you, orange kush seeds? I want you guys coming back. So I want to make sure you guys got your, white runts. And that's just first rule of business. So I wouldn't understand why a seed company want to do that. To me, that's shady practice. Harry, tell me what the hell you think about.
I think it's crazy. I think it's definitely crazy. It's mismanagement. It's disorganized. I'm a stickler about my cultivars. I really don't like to mix things.
Yeah,
I like things separate. So if I want that sativa, I know I can get that sativa. If I want that hybrid, I know I can get that hybrid. If I want the indica,
yeah,
there's no problems. There's
yeah.
no guessing which snug's which.
And hopefully this mic, I know it's picking up the bags, but hopefully it ain't too crunchy for you guys. If it is, I do apologize. Unfortunately, that's the way we smoke our weed here at Two Buds in a Jar. We vape it, whether it's in disposables, carts, the volcano.
Well, I mean, I burn it
Yeah,
sometimes.
Harry burns down from time to time. I used to smoke a lot of blunts, can of family, so I just started vaping cannabis and eating it primarily, but I enjoy smoking it too, so that's why I vape it heavily, I gotta say. I used to
Well,
smoke it heavily.
the volcano is one of the best ways to smoke. You're not getting all that excess carcinogens. You're getting a lot more potency and a lot more use out of each bowl pack. It's just, it really is a superior way to
Yeah,
toke down
it is. You get better flavor profile, better terpenes,
more
or
use.
yeah, more, but yeah, more use and more longevity out of your flower. It doesn't just burn it up. It has a setting that's great. You set it between 6 and 7, and it really locks in that flavor profile plus that potency. And we constantly use it here on the channel, like for taste test and everything. 'Cause it's just a very supreme piece. I gotta say, I got a cabinet full of every kind of piece you guys could imagine. Matter of fact, a lot of you guys wanted to do a glass tour to show what kind of glass I have or use or have, for the channel. And I have everything from cheap glass to expensive glass and everything in between. So one good time I'll have to show you guys a huge glass tour. It'll be a video and it'll be a long video. It's not going to be a short 5-10 minute put together video, guys. So definitely expect a long glass tour. I've been collecting some of the stuff for years. Some of it's older, some of it's newer, some of it's unique. Some of it you can't find no more. Some of them have great stories. So I'll tell you all about that in a video. It will be a great fun video, I gotta say. Each piece I feel you know, if people's had it long enough, they have like either memories or stories attached to it. Have you ever noticed that, Harry?
Oh yeah, that'll definitely happen over time, just over time and overuse and going to this place and that place and
Yeah, yeah. And then, you have great stories with it. So it ends up being a really great thing, man. So I got a bunch of different stories where I got these pieces, and some of them are part of collections, and some of them you can't buy no more. So, that's going to be a really fun video. And honestly, we will shoot it this coming Monday, Harry. Not
probably.
this Monday right now, obviously, but we will be because we've been shooting all day. If you look at Harry, he's stoned off his ass because we've been smoking since 9 o'clock in the morning.
I
10.
think we did more
Yeah.
smoking than we did shooting today.
Yeah. Yeah, we did do a lot of token down. That's no lie, but it's what we do here at Two Buds in a Jar. We make sure we're, well medicated. We get behind the camera and we give the message of the plant to, the viewers and the knowledge to the viewers that we have. And, we build a community from it and a great channel ultimately. And I gotta take this time, man, to really thank you guys. You guys are amazing out there. We are currently at 2,100, I think 12 subscribers. Don't quote me on that.
That's
Could be like
crazy.
11. It is mind-boggling, and we are almost at 300,000 views on the channel. Some of our shorts get 1,000, views, a couple thousand, 4,000, 5,000. And I'm just mind boggled. This channel grew so exponentially. And in the beginning, guys, we thought nobody wanted to watch it or nobody cared because we barely got views. And it was because of YouTube. And once a lot of our videos got out there and got, out into the mainstream, we seen we were getting, 50 views on this, couple hundred views on this, couple thousand views, several thousand views. Now we have videos with several thousand views on it, and they do have age restrictions. And that's because, YouTube does try to throw a wrench into this type of content, but it needs to be out. There's a lot of us out here, but, we definitely try to, give you everything that other channels have given you plus more, because we go over and there's, videos maybe somebody has done, let's say not a YouTuber specifically, but let's say somebody's named something about a specific nutrient line and we know all this other stuff about it and no one's ever mentioned that or done anything. So we're going to take that and we're definitely going to be like, okay, this nutrient line and tell you guys everything that you need to know that we could possibly research about it. I mean, honestly, and that's just most of it comes from pure knowledge. Most 90% of the stuff has come through stuff we've researched and we know on the channel. And that's why, we put it out there. And we put out fun videos sometimes where we're just toking down. We put out videos where we're doing Munchie Mondays, which we're going to get into more intricate stuff. We done cookies, gummies, and Rice Krispies now. That are peanut butter and chocolate infused Rice Krispies. So, we have recipes for all of those. We're going to have so much more because we're going to keep growing and we sacrifice a couple plants to do Munchie Mondays. And, we throw it all together. We do our extractions and then we put it all together for you guys on a video and show you easily at home how to make whether it's cookies, how to make Rice Krispies, how to make more intricate stuff as well that you've never seen. We got a whole lot of badass Munchie Monday videos coming where we show you how to infuse literally everything. So,
Slowly but surely.
yeah, slowly but surely.
Takes time to
Yep,
grow material.
yep. And I got speaking of which, we got quite a bit of mimosa cake material we can run.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we got quite a bit of it.
I still have gorilla cookies.
Material.
Mm,
Okay. So yeah, so there will be a Munchie Monday video. Come to think of it.
eventually.
Yeah, eventually. We're
Guess
gonna
what?
make
We're talking about doing something with salt.
we're
Make
gonna
can of salt.
we're gonna make a slew of things. I'm not sure what exactly
Because the
right
salt would
now.
be really useful for the thing I really want to do.
The salt. Yeah, I know, yeah. I want to do the sugar and the salt. That way we can but we'll
Oh man,
infuse a lot
both?
of different things.
Both? Okay, so now we do the sugar and the salt, and then we use the sugar and the salt to make a rub. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll just keep it down. We got a bunch of badass Munchie Monday videos and ideas coming. I would throw them out there, but I don't want to ruin them.
Right, we
I
can't have
want you
people steal
guys.
our
Oh,
ideas.
yeah, and we don't want people because there are other channels that watch our channels and things of that nature. So, we try to keep our ideas and stuff on the down low unless we're really excited. We just don't want our stuff being copied, I guess. But, because we're trying to put out new, fresh content. And to be honest, guys, and this might surprise you, I used to watch a lot of weed tubers, but now that I become a weed tuber, I try not to. There's only like two weed tubers that I do watch. That way I can just bring you guys fresh content and things that are never done, said, or shown before. And I'm not recreating or burning myself out. I like to have a new, fresh pond of creativity than, swim in the same
Right.
stagnant pool, I guess, that
Swim in
exists.
circles.
Yeah, swimming, yeah. So, and that's not crapping on other channels or nothing of that nature. I'm just saying, a lot of people recreate the same content on YouTube, and that's what we're trying to ultimately stay away from, is what I mean in that aspect. We don't want to, and some of it, I ain't gonna lie, it's not like we don't have any recreated videos, like stuff, maybe somebody's already covered or something. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of weed tubing now. I just try to focus on our channel and what we can do and what would be interesting for you guys and what you would want to see at home.
Well, that and Live, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead, but now that we're live, but shout out to Keemstar and what he's doing. He's definitely doing a good show. I mean, I've been watching that lately. Yeah. So it's a goofy disaster, but he created it and it's amazing, I gotta say. But shout out to Keemstar, I know it's a controversial character on the internet, but I guess
I have no
what
any
he's doing
feelings.
with Lolcow Live is very interesting. If you guys, haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out. It's pretty funny. But anyway, back to the Canis show, man. We are now doing a live stream. So one thing I want to say, dude mentioned Miracle Grow, and I find it funny. Oh, my nose itches when I get to doing.
We just did a video about it.
We just did a video on Miracle Grow and showed you why either to use it or why not to. Find out when the video comes out. But the CEO Scott from Miracle Grow says specifically that he is not going to have his hands in the cannabis industry because his soil was not designed for cannabis specifically, but rather for tomatoes and things more what he said commercialized growing.
Right.
So he doesn't want to have his hands in the cannabis industry, which is, quite fine to me because, from my understandings, you need a lot of perlite, vermiculite, and, a good ratio of nitrogen and some fluffy aerated soil. You got to have the right microbial properties in it, maybe use great white to add some more, or mycorrhizae,
Mycorrhizae.
yeah. So with that being said, I think there's a lot of nutrients and things to add, you know. What do you think, Harry?
It's not necessarily that needs to be added. I think it needs to be taken away.
Yeah.
Normally, the Miracle Grow soil has all that time release stuff in it, and it's going to keep releasing nitrogen through your whole grow. And as we know with cannabis, you don't want nitrogen in your whole grow.
Yeah, and there are surprising facts about it. I mean, we've done upteenth videos of it, or just upteenth videos on soil. We've done videos on now Miracle Grow. We're going to put that out. Um, that's out for the populace. And then what else do we got, Harry?
I don't know, man. There's videos.
Yeah, that's true. We don't want to give out what we put out until you guys see it that way, It's just, you wake up, boom, notification, two buds in a jar's uploaded. Um,
Got more comments in the comment section. What they saying?
yeah, coconut grows. I gotta say, I do, there's a line in this channel where we try to stay very educational, but we also try to have fun as well. Because, we don't want this to be boring. Because in the beginning, guys, we were really like almost like schooling type of deal, we it just made it over complicated.
Yeah.
And we would go back and we would watch the videos and we'd be like, yeah, man, this is intellectual. This is the right thing to say and the right knowledge and information, but it's boring as hell. So what can we do? And, eventually time we're just like, we'll be ourselves, man. We're characters. I mean, obviously, I mean, Harry Cola and myself. So, we added that in and it just made it way more entertaining. And then I go back and watch their videos. I'm like, oh, that's funny or this or that. So we try to add that, but we try to also give an educational value, just by being ourselves and putting that out there. Cause, I don't, like to put on a mask and, jump in front of a camera, whether I'm having good days, bad days, or whatever, I do shorts and I do YouTube because it's just something I have passion for. And I like teaching people stuff, to be honest, too. Um, so it's just, two of my teachings or two of my passions, excuse me. And through these teachings, people learn and how to grow and, how to self-medicate themselves, with cannabis or how to do things properly. And they're not misled because there is a lot of misleading information in the cannabis industry and in YouTube as well. I've watched a lot of YouTubers, and I'm not going to say who or anything like that, but I have watched some cannabis YouTubers. I'm just like, what the hell? Yeah, no, that's not right, or this or that, or, and, I don't sit here and claim to know everything because I'm not one of those people, but I have done my, decades of research, and it has, allowed me to see that some things that are shown on YouTube are not done properly. And there's a lot of information that's left out too in multiple videos, and I don't want to do that. I want to put it all together collectively for you guys and break it down because some things are complicated. Like, let's just take something simple like VPD, for instance. There's a complicated way to explain that to people, and there's an easier way. And, it is a sensory overload with all that information if you're not used to it. So I like to, analyze it, break it down, and just show you guys, like, hey, this is what VPD is, this is how you control it, and this and that and it's easier to have like if you have environmental controls, if you live in a more not so hot, not so humid area where your temperature and your humidity is more balanced out in your outside environment or your lung room, so it's easy to control your VPD with these things. And once it's explained simply, but every video you may find on it's like, what the hell, the scientific terminology, this, that, the other, it's complicated. It's easier for us just to break it down and explain it, and
And it's definitely
yeah,
fun for me to do the shorts, and the shorts are kind of like my grow blog. And then when we do the more educational videos, I have to do a lot of research on the back end, trying to find the right images to throw in there and the right reference points to add in, trying to figure all that stuff out. So I have to study a little bit on my own too. So it teaches me a lot of interesting factoids. But then I don't just believe anything I read either, especially with Google AI running around out there.
Yeah.
So I like to test ideas. So I'll do some crazy things with plants that people will be like, "Holy crap, you can't do that." Well, we're gonna find out, aren't we?
Yeah, we do. I'm telling you. And so far, his madman experiments has not, his mad professor experiments, I'd say, has not or failed.
Yeah,
Me, I can't even talk.
I'm trying to give autoflowers silica every feeding is a big no-no. Don't do that. I learned my lesson there. They can't handle that much silica. It blocks out your potassium uptake, and then it causes a nutrient lockout. And it's really hard to correct that issue with an autoflower. Once it happens, you're just cooked. You're done.
You know, coconut grows. I should have put two and two together. You're from Hawaii. That is cool.
Coconut grows.
Coconut grows.
Oh,
Holy
that makes
shit.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, man. Shout out to you, man. That is awesome.
Aloha.
Yeah. Aloha, man. Um, freaking, that is cool. That
Got
is
some
cool.
tasty waves over there on the
Yeah.
beach.
Coconut grows, I gotta say, man, how's it growing out in an island area? Do you have, any problems with like, you know,
Humidity.
yeah, humidity, I gotta say. And I mean, like, how do you dry your flowers out there? Do you have a dry rack and
Probably a
you
dry
just use
room.
your tent or I'm curious
Maybe
because
difficult.
yeah, because tropical climates are some of the best, areas for sativas and other cannabis plants. But I do know like indicas, like, deep landrace indicas or just indica dominant strands primarily, grow up in like Hindu mountains and cooler areas and climates. So, you know, um,
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder how they manage to do the drying and get through the flowering process. Or do they have more of an arid environment where it's more of like a 72? Or does it get really hot and then you have those problems with temperature, burning of your terpenes while you're trying to go through the drying and curing process?
he says, I'm a dirt grower using some of the youngest soil on the planet here in Hawaii.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta say, yeah, tropical environment and soil would be definitely a good, because I mean, cannabis itself is more of a tropical plant.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, so I mean, it would grow great in places like Japan or places like, Australia, places like Hawaii that's more island based, I would say, than I would say, because you're going to have the nice humidity, you're going to have, the temperature fluctuations that you would need. I'd say it'd work really well, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
tropical environments would be great. At least I would imagine. The only thing I could imagine is the humidity. You're always going to be fighting with the humidity being too high. So you're rerunning that dehumidifier.
Frank's Cannon Lounge said they got multiple environments in Hawaii. The mountain can change rapidly.
Ah,
Okay, so
interesting.
it's like California, how they have like
Okay.
a mountain or dry.
Right,
Okay,
right. That makes sense.
okay, yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, I thought it was kind of like a tropical area, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it
Yeah,
would be tropical too, but
yeah,
that's just I
maybe
have
that's
never been
just
to
yeah, me
Hawaii, so I'm
neither.
admitting
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. The more you know, man, because
knowledge power.
yeah, yeah. I always wondered how it'd be like to grow out in those areas. It'd be cool.
I
I mean,
guess it depends
honestly.
on where you're at.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
really,
because I
really
know
depends.
places out here are easier to grow where we're from. And then there's places that are just more difficult because it's, like Frank said, it's more dry or it's more, the soil's
Well,
more compacted
I
or
feel like you're always competing. Like where we're at, we're in such a dynamic area where sometimes it's like, oh
it's,
man, it's
it's
humidity.
weather-wise.
Sometimes it's like, oh no, it's too humid. And then it gets really cold. Sometimes it gets really hot. So there's always you have like four fights you're fighting all the time with the temperature and humidity.
All the damn time. And it becomes just a tug of war
Yeah.
consistently.
Sometimes during the transitioning periods where we're going from like one season to the next, it will be like 80 degrees one day and like 60 degrees the next day, and you're like, ah, crap.
And that's why we have tents with environmental controls and the setups that me and Harry Cola do with the panels and the VPD and the humidifiers that are automated and fans. Everything in our tents are automated because of that. And it's better for us because it's easy to acclimate to our lung rooms or to our outside environments, essentially,
Yeah,
so
the AC Infinities and having those
yeah.
automatic features in there really saves you. Having a heater really helps keep that environment more stable, and the more closer to consistent that you can keep that environment, the healthier and faster those girls are going to grow.
Absolutely, Harry. Oh, my bad, left you hanging there, Harry. Have you guys ever used a volcano at home? Tried any of those products from Stores and Bickle or any type of vaporizer? Because I guarantee, man, the terpenes and the potency, you guys would definitely enjoy it. We're not sponsored by them, but I've had this Stores and Bickle volcano for a minute now, and it's like one of the limited edition ones that they had, but and it's the older model. It's not like the hybrid or anything, but I prefer the older model over the hybrid. The hybrid had some issues, guys, so don't buy that. What happened was these rings right here started burning away, and then they just wouldn't attach to the device. So don't get the hybrid, get this one, because this one's nice. I mean, honestly, me and Harry's ran this thing what all day now, and it's been fine. I mean, it's like an old AK-47. It just doesn't shit out. It's a good device, I gotta say. So shout out to Stores and Bickle. Their Volcano is awesome. A little pricey. Some of them are 500, some of them are 600, some of them are $700. A lot of them were $600 and $700 when I got mine. Unfortunately, I didn't wait till they came down. But this device has been out for a while. It's just been older versions of it, man. You've
And
seen it with like the globe and shit.
they're
The
worth
old
every
school.
penny,
But
man.
yeah, yeah, I gotta say. Yeah, it's one of the best devices after all, or out of all like the bongs and everything else I've had. These are some of the best devices I've ever smoked out of, period.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, you just gotta wait for them to heat up, and once that light turns off, you just switch the fan on. It blows basically hot air and vaporizes your trichomes right off your plant material. So you're just ultimately just smoking the oil, the resinous oil off your flower, not combusting that plant material and getting all them harmful carcinogens and so it's a more medically beneficial way to smoke your
It,
cannabis.
it's smoother, it's more flavorful, and you waste less of your terpenes because you're not combusting everything all at once. You're slowly vaporizing everything until it's gone. So it does help conserve your bud overall.
Yeah.
They're cool. They're
Yeah.
nifty. They're nifty
So
devices.
Harry, did you ever give that one plant more mag?
Feeding days are Wednesdays, but I have been slowly bringing up the cow mag on both plants. But I can't do it too rapidly, and I already have them on a weekly feeding schedule, so I can't upset my feeding schedule either.
Yeah, that is
But
true.
I am gonna upset it when I do my transplant, and they shouldn't need anything for a week after the transplant, and then it'll be feeding day again.
Mine could die. Honestly, there's three plants I got back there. All the grape apes can of family can definitely use a feeding, and they'll probably get it tonight, I'd imagine. If it doesn't end up being too late. Later on, we got to feed those girls. They definitely need it. They have not had nutrients one in 3 weeks and the other two in 2 weeks. So, and that soil happy frog usually feeds up to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, it said, didn't it, Harry?
I mean, I think it just depends on the plant. It depends on your environment. It depends on what you're growing in that soil, you know.
Yeah, mine's about 2, 3 weeks before I need to.
If you're going from seed, then I would say it could probably last 2 or 3 weeks. But if you're transplanting, I would say it's only going to take about a week.
Yeah.
Especially if you do the transplants like I do, you're really careful. You're not gonna overstress the plant. You should be fine. Then yeah, within a week, it's gonna start needing food already.
Another thing I can greatly say that I highly recommend Can of Family getting for your garden is Great White. It's mycorrhizae. Now, most of your commercial based, like Fox Farm, Happy Frog, or Ocean Forest by Fox Farm, or other products like Can of Pure. It has the purple cow on it. I think it's Can of Pure. But all these other soils and stuff. Where was I going with
I
this?
have no idea.
Yeah,
You were talking about purple cow and all these other soils.
yeah. There's a point behind it. Um, I can't remember.
You talking about
Yeah.
living soils, organic soils,
Oh yeah, the Great White. Now I remember,
great white,
guys. But the
mycorrhiza.
thing is, some of these soils have mycorrhizae in it, and some of them don't. So sorry, I had a THC moment, but yeah. So Great White adds 23 or 24 different microbes to your soil, and this will cause explosive growth, and that's what you're seeing within the great or the grape ape. So I added some Great White mycorrhizae. It's like $36 for, I'd say, like 18, 24 ounces of it, but you only use one scoop your whole plant, your auto flower. So, and then you can add to even add more explosive growth is one jug of organic CO2.
It's also great for using for transplanting as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you put it over the root ball and just put it in there or your peat puck. If you start your seedlings in peat puck, you get your peat puck moist, dump some great white on it all the way around the root system, pop them right in the 5 gallon pot, 3 gallon pot, whatever the hell fabric pot size you're growing in. Boom, moisten the soil, and then let that take off. And what that does is it creates massive groups of colonies for beneficial microbes, and it helps your root system. You also want aerated soil as well that's more, fluffy and light so your roots can grow through and develop into a thicker stalk.
It does improve what's called the rhizome, but the thing about something like mycorrhizae is it is a mycelium, and a mycelium is a fungus, and it moves very slowly. It's a beneficial fungi, but it doesn't move quickly. It actually moves very slowly. It takes it a while for it to get everything set into place, but it will help improve the root structures as it's building its
Yeah.
colonies around them. But if there's something like bacteria, the bacteria will actually compete with your mycorrhizae, and the mycorrhizae won't be able to get into the areas with the bacteria, and they'll kind of have to work around each other.
Yeah, coconut grows. I have used CO2 in my experience. We have videos on it how to
Well, we
easily
use
do organic.
yeah, we use organic CO2 in our grows,
And what we'll do is we'll take a milk jug. Of course, we'll wash it out. We'll fill it halfway full of water. We'll put 2 to 3 cups of sugar in there. And then you put a cup or a packet of active yeast. You put that in room temperature water, you shake it, and you put it in your tent, and you change it every week and a half to every 2 weeks.
which is
And
fine to do in a larger tent, but if you're doing it in a smaller tent like mine, you need to add an air filter. It's a tube that runs into water with a cap with another tube that sticks out of that cap, and that's where your CO2 comes out. It gets washed through the water. The air
yeah.
does.
And essentially, you should do this, but if you want a higher outpour of CO2, you can also just leave it with a jug with the lid off when you create this. And what this do will push out a bunch of organic CO2 naturally, anywhere from 800 parts per million to 1500 parts per million, which is usually what a tank system would do for a fraction of the cost. And you only have to change this out every week to every 2 weeks. This jug will last in your grow tent. And you can make bigger ones. You know, them collagen water jugs. You can take 5 cups of sugar and 3 packs of yeast and put it in there, and it'll blast up the nutrients, or blast up the CO2, excuse me.
Yep, right.
But
So you want to think of the CO2 as like the wood in the construction for the house that is your plant. The water is like the concrete, and all of the nutrients are like your hammers, your nails, your saw guns, your nail guns, right? So the more CO2 you add, the more nails and nail guns and tools you're going to need, and the more you might even need, it might burn up more water too. So
yeah.
you're going to need a little bit more of this other stuff if you're going to add an excessive amount of CO2. And if you go too far with CO2, now you can get a CO2 toxicity.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, just by adding a water, half a filled water jugs, 2, 3 cups of sugar, and a cup of yeast, or a active packet of yeast will work. Or just taking an intake outtake fan essentially will definitely work. As well for just natural oxygen. But understand if you do that, you may have to combat excessive heat and excessive humidity as well since it will be intaking your environment. So make sure you have all the proper equipment to, really balance out your heat and humidity if you have an outside intake. If not, and you have a lung room, it'll be, aerating through that lung room essentially. So once it aerates through that lung room, essentially that'll take care of your humidity and your cooling. Now, honestly, there's another thing. If you add one jug, you'll be fine, and that's why I say that. If you have an intake, it'll make it easier, and an outtake fans pulling and pushing air through your tent. But if you don't and you want to use like a more CO2 system, then I highly recommend the jug because it's just amazing. Essentially, it works and it works the same way like a tank would, but no problem. Coconut grows out there. We've definitely had some experience with CO2 in both of our grows. We've done it, one or
Well,
two
I
different ways,
did
and we made a video out of it.
the first gorilla cookies. I didn't add extra. I had a fungus thing in there that was supposed to pump out CO2, but I don't think it was ever working right, so I just tossed it out. And I don't think I ever put CO2 back in that tent. I was just using fresh air from outside, so I could approximate it was getting around 300 micromoles of CO2, which isn't really a lot for a cannabis plant. And the production was okay and it tasted good, but it wasn't, as good as the second time around where I did add the CO2. I did add a little bit more CalMag because the CO2 was present. It did have a higher demand for nutrients. And then by the end, I did the light trick, which everybody freaked out about in the comment section. But I did the light trick where I flipped on the light for 48 hours, which to me, looking at the plant by the time it was done, had the same results of flipping the light off for 48 hours. The only difference was with the extra energy, I got more ambers and I got more terpene development, more trichome development than what I would have with the light off. But
Yeah.
but my plants are normally on photo periods and on certain cycles. They're not used to getting just blasted with that much light.
Yeah, but let's go back to the CO2 for a minute. So and let me explain. So when you're at 1,500 parts per million,
That's a lot.
yeah, okay,
Too
so
much.
essentially that's halfway at what you want to be. You don't want to go to 2,000. You want to keep it anywhere from 1,800 parts to 1,500 parts. And why you're doing that is
I thought it was
because
11.
1,100, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's 11.
Yeah,
15's way
11.
too much. You're gonna get
Yeah,
toxicity
well,
issues.
no, that happens at 2,000 and above.
2000.
Yes, parts per million. However, the essentially you are pushing your plant to the max, which means you're going to have to uptake in feeding. And yes, Mother Nature does have something of a 400 parts per million, but if you're amplifying that, you're amplifying growth, you're amplifying your genetic structure of your plant. Which is metabolically going to bring out every single quality from terpenes to coloration to bigger yields. And this is how cannabis plants ultimately get so big out into the wild. Is ultimately they have a giant supply of CO2 and they have a giant supply of photosynthesis, which works cohesively together to create that massive plant. And you can do the same. You can really push that plant in its genetic potential, coloration, and yield, especially during flower if you jack up those parts per million. And if you're just running a normal intake outtake, you're not going to get those necessary parts per million in your grow room because it only where I'm at is 400 parts per million CO2 intake to about 560 roughly.
Wow.
And, it recommends definitely amplifying it
And
up during flowering. And that's why I highly recommend the jug in the organic method because, yes, it is cumbersome, but it does not take up much space and it does
did you
amplify
mention
the
sugar?
CO2 and the growth.
Did you
Uh,
mention sugar?
yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
you did mention the sugar.
Yep. 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 So, I mean, essentially, you have big organic CO2 machine. And the thing is, as long as you have an outtake hooked up to your tent, it's not dangerous. You're not going to see any really dangerous levels of CO2.
Right.
So, I mean, it's good, but also understand you're going to have to use more nutrients, more watering, more resources to really push that. Because much like, CO2 is more like an energy drink for a human. You're going to have more energy and you're going to exhaust more of that energy, but make sure you have stuff to replenish that. So if you do drink an energy drink, what are you going to need? You're going to crash and you're going to need food, you're going to need rest. And that's the same thing with the cannabis plant. Make sure your lighting cycles are proper. Also, make sure your intake or outtakes proper. If you're jacking your parts per million up, you're going to definitely require A, more lighting, B, more food regimens, C, more waterings. So you're definitely going to, up that. But with just a single, jug, you're going to keep the necessary amount of CO2 at all times. And with, the recipe to 2 to 3, cups of sugar with 1 to maybe 2 packets of CO or active yeast, you're not going to see a, dangerous fluctuation within your parts per million. I mean, to be honest, but
Well, how much
what?
water is that you put in there?
What? Oh, you only fill the milk jug halfway.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then you put.
I have a different formula. I do 1 liter of room temp water to 1 cup of sugar to 1 packet of
Yeah,
yeast.
there's different ways too. You can do with baking soda and citric acid, but that's a little more scientific and it exposes a lot more CO2 in
Well,
a
that
more different form, and
yeah, that way, and
we're not getting into
you're
that.
releasing a lot all
Yeah,
at
all
one
at
time,
once.
and
Yeah,
it's not
it's
released slowly like what you
yeah.
really need.
So, yeah, fuck all that. But
Yeah.
yeah, you don't want to do that. So, but the sugar, the yeast naturally eats it, breaks down the sugar components, releases oxygen molecules,
Well,
yeah,
CO2 molecules.
CO2
Well,
molecules.
which I think that natural organically made CO2 it might be a little bit healthier for the plant too.
Yeah, yeah, and there's nothing with pushing your plants or your grow room, with CO2, but honestly, just take into consideration Mother Nature's just going to have just the right amount, but not really push if you're looking for a bigger yields or so essentially the more CO2, but there is a dangerous part like 2000 parts per million. You don't want to get at 1900 parts, 1800 parts. You want to be, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. There are specific parts per million for flowering. I don't, really memorize that at this time, but so I'm not going to just throw out some random number because I don't want people messing up their grows. But at the same time, it does push genetic potential, and I do highly recommend it because ever since I started using CO2, and I do recognize like when I leave my lung room open and it pulls in oxygen outside, thusly when my tent's closed and there's a jug, there's a huge difference in growth rate. Wouldn't you say, Harry, from your experience?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Once you add that CO2 in there, the plant just eats it up and grows faster.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, yeah, if you want to keep it simple and just keep a simple CO2 parts per million in there, that's cool. And I mean, that'll, guide your plant from germination to flower. But if you also want to add that CO2 in there, during, mid-veg to early flowering and really amplify that plant's genetic potential, yeah, I highly recommend that too. You know, there's a lot of strands like Big Bud and Moby Dick and a bunch of other strands that grow real hardy like Gorilla Glue and Gorilla Cookies and other ones that require if they get a lot of CO2 they'll do really good like Bubble Kush, Kosher Kush is another one. They'll grow big robust thick buds and branches, and that can also be done with training and other things of that nature, but we're just talking about CO2 here. So
Right.
it does really affect cannabis plants and it really has a great impact on your garden. I got to say, especially when it's over, 400 parts per million. But again, make sure you buy a CO2 meter. You can find one for like 50 some bucks at Amazon, or you can buy a really nice one that's about $200-300 roughly that has a probe, and there's a monitor that hooks onto your tent, so ultimately you can monitor the CO2 levels from the outside.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, you should definitely have a CO2 meter.
yeah,
What's a CO2 meter? I don't have one of those. No, I'm kidding.
yeah,
No, I'm kidding about what it is. I know what it is. I just
yeah.
don't have one.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, but they're good. Definitely, if you're messing with CO2, period, yes,
You
make sure
probably
you,
should. You probably
yes,
shouldn't play with fire like I do.
yeah, make sure you have a CO2 meter because you never know how many parts per millions, in that area, and you want to make sure, maybe you're growing in a small tent, a really small tent, maybe like a 3x2, or what the hell's that one
It's
tiny
at
ass
two by
one?
two by three.
Yeah, 2x2x3. So, I mean, if you're going in something like that and you have a closed up room, then yes, please provide yourself with oxygen or have a intake or at least an outtake running out to push that parts per million because, it'll build up. And, even so much is not good for you or your plant.
Right.
So always remember that too.
Or any
Like I
little
said,
little critters or
yeah, family,
people running around.
kids, pets, your plants, make sure those CO2s don't reach, make sure if it's in the hires, make sure it's like 1400, 1300, and it's not exceeding up like 18, 1900, 2000 parts per million.
But again, if you're just running one jug and using the sugar technique, it shouldn't exceed crazy levels. If you're going in there with like three or five jugs, you
And
might get into crazy levels.
you'll know your eyes will burn, the air's heavier, it's thicker, you'll feel dizzier kind of. It's just more essentially hard to breathe, and you'll notice immediately when your eyes start to tingle. So, you know,
Yep.
I've left a room closed one time and came in, and it was just a complete different environment. I could tell as soon as I walked in that something was wrong in that room. And essentially, I forgot to open my lung room window and put my outtake hose out it. So it was just, circulating that. So, yeah, just be careful, definitely be cautious with it. But, it's a simple thing. It's not overcomplicated and just takes a purchase of some sugar and some active yeast, which is cheap as hell everywhere in the United States and everywhere in general. It's not an expensive product, and it's definitely worth it because you're going to get a lot more cannabis back. I guarantee you that. I mean, I've seen the difference personally. I've grown with just, intake, outtake through outside window and then grown with CO2 plus that out additional, you know. So it all depends. And you can do that too. You can mix a jug. I forgot to even mention that. You could do a jug of CO2 like that, and you can have an intake outtake as well.
I
And
guess
if you,
mine pulls from
yeah,
the outside.
and that would be just superb right there. I have to use my lung room as my intake. So yeah, I do have an outtake on mine. I just haven't got around to purchasing one. I'm always buying shit for this tent, man. I mean, honestly, I just bought some plant risers and some solo cups. Shit.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, 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 dude. Yeah, essentially, we're always getting stuff, man. What's the latest thing you've got in your, excuse me, garden, Harry? Mine's plant risers. I know, exciting, right? I even showed the kid
Humidifier for the little thing.
humidifier.
Yeah, the little tent needed the humidifier. It was too dry, and I wasn't going to deal with those low with a messed up VPD. You're just going to run into problems if you have a messed up VPD.
Oh hell yeah,
It never seems to work out right. If you yeah, if you don't have a humidifier or dehumidifiers or some way, because you only really have two constants that you can control, and that's going to be your temperature and your humidity. So you have to get some way to control those two factors, because I mean, yeah, you control how much nutrients and water you put in there, but being able to control the temperature and humidity makes it so you can dial it in. And without the equipment, I've tried to do the rags and the spray bottles, and you have to sit in there with your arm all the time and just spray to keep it anywhere close to where you want it.
it eats ass with the spoon sometimes, doing everything manually like that. Harry's trying
With a spork.
with a spork. That's it, Mars.
Yeah.
So
I think maybe it was a knife. I don't know. It was a Dr. Seuss kitchen down there.
it was a whole fucking mess going on, man. So what do you ultimately are you going to trellis these girls or
The wedding cheesecakes are definitely going to get the trellis. I want to do some training. It's like I tried to do some training with the mimosa cake, but it was really resistant to my training. And then not only was it resistant, I don't have a good, that pot's not really good for training.
Harry
I
tried
don't
to
have,
bend that little bushy girl over, and she wasn't bending over, man.
she was not having it.
No, she wasn't having it. Sometimes when they grow bushy and thick, guys, they'll just be unbendable, man, and you'll have that with some strands. So when you go to train, make sure you train autos, especially autos, but feminized as well, and just regular photo periods. But make sure you train them all early in that way because some strands really get thick and hardy quick. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, some of them don't. Some of them will be more pliable and
Now,
manipulable,
I
but
think I'm still going to be able to manipulate the wedding cakes, the wedding cheesecakes. I'll be able to manipulate those for sure. The mimosa cake's going to be tricky because I don't have any tools. I might have to get one of those things I seen online that like it looks like a C. And you can put the plant into it and it like curves it over. I might have to try something like
yeah,
that. But I just don't have anything to connect it to, you
they're
know?
training clips and they're
Training clip.
really awesome, I gotta say, fam.
So I might
They're
have to try
really
something
good.
like that and see if I can find a spot where I can bend it and get that clip on there. And then that should encourage some uh what is that? Not lateral growth, the other growth.
It wouldn't be horizontal
Horizontal
growth. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what you want to do inside all the
growth.
time. You guys want to train your plants to have a more even canopy and not so lateral. You don't want too much lateral growth, or maybe you do.
I want a
Maybe
little
you're growing
bit.
outside. Yeah, you want a little, but primarily you want an
You want
easily
a bush.
managable bush. Yeah, you know.
That's what
And
all guys want. You just want the bush.
you just want the bush, I guess. But you do can a family. You want a flower bush, and it makes it a lot more easier to, ultimately just sit there and manage and manipulate and thin and trim and cut and trellis and all that. But if you're growing outside or in greenhouses, then you can grow the monsters and ultimately do the same because greenhouses do take poles and they do have different size trellises. And I've seen people run them across in a green. They'll have like, three plants here, and they'll run trellises across some sections. And I mean, yeah, they'll have to duck in between, but they'll work from those. So I've seen a lot. So, you can definitely use trellises. They're a good option on bigger plants or smaller plants. And, there's all sorts. There's fimming, topping, monster cropping, popping. There's just so many low stress training, high stress training. And that's more of what Harry over here is talking about. It's definitely fun.
Yeah, it's definitely
That's
fun
it.
to well when you do manipulate the plant, it does different things than what it would normally do. And it's interesting to watch how it fights back, but it also changes the structure of the plant. Because sometimes you can get really cool results through training. I mean, sometimes you can pull your hair out with it too if you don't do it right, and you got just like branches going the wrong way, and you can't get in there anymore because it's just too thick, and you're like, ah, what do I do here?
Yeah, yeah.
We got some comments and
Seymour Cannabis says cheers rolling through with the thumbs up. Shout out to you, Seymour. What's
stuff.
up? We got Frank's Canna Lounge still in the comments. What's going on, man? Um, we got Coconut Grows. He's saying, yeah, Canna Bro, Seymour. So we got a lot of conversation. It's good to know we got some knowledgeable people in the comments section. That always helps. We love that here on Two Buds in a Jar, most definitely, I gotta say. But anyway, we've been checking out the different kind of content that we want to do, and we're going to be focusing, like I said, on Munchy Mondays. We will have the shorts that are currently uploaded. We will have podcasts, just like now. Today's our first day back after 2 weeks, so we just kind of wanted not to build a docket and just go over, like things we found, and we just wanted to update you guys on what we were doing, what was going on in the cannabis world of Two Buds in a Jar here on YouTube. So, We got a lot of things I'd say established as far as content coming out, but we want to do a couple videos, man, and that's more along the lines of more along the lines of like different things as far as training Harry wants to do on his behalf, I would say. There's different training he wants to do as far as low training, high stress training. There's different grows I want to do, but right now I'm doing a more yield-based grow on what I'm doing here on two buds in a jar. I'm growing more indica-based plants, and I'm growing more for yield, so I'm going to be going and aiming for that. The
I'm
what with the risers and stuff, there's not too much training and things I can do at this particular time.
I'm
You know,
I'm just gonna try to keep these girls from stretching too much, and as they do stretch, I'll employ low stress training techniques to try to prevent that stretch from going too crazy. Because again, they can get really tall. So I'm just gonna watch them, and as I'll fight back as they fight with me, and we'll just have a little cannabis tango going on. Play a game
yeah,
called uh, every time you get too tall, I'll pull you back down.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I gotta say. I only train, in beginning, I would say stages. So if I'm going to, then that's when I train. If not, like these ones particular, I'm not going to.
Bro,
But
I
yeah,
was training that Gorilla Cookies like be 3 weeks into flowering.
yeah, yeah.
That was
Well,
wild.
oh yeah, you can sometimes some of them are manipulable. Like what it does simply is it just directs auxin hormones to the bud sites. So you're going to have primarily more weed if train low stress, train things of that nature.
Yeah,
So, I mean, not all the time. I mean, there's also times you can just grow it, cut it, expose them bud sites and come out with gold too. But,
yeah,
it's all your growing methods, your techniques, and your nutrients, I'd say, that you're using.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's all kinds of little tricks and things you can do as you're going along, but it's all about that timing, It's all timing is so important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta say, man, timing is very important when it comes to training. I mean, we did a whole video on training methods, all sorts from monster cropping, lollipopping, low stress, high stress, femming. Um, there's either ones, we were going to do on grafting, but that's kind of a more
You
scientifical.
can't really
Yeah,
do
you
grafting.
can't do grafting. Yeah,
You can, okay, but
yeah.
it takes a lot more time, and you need cultivars that you can keep in veg for years. You need tree pots. You need, and it can
Yeah, and you're
still mess
talking
up
about
really
yeah,
easily.
and what it is it's a considered cannabis is a herbaceous species, but it's a dioecious species as well, which means it has a certain period where it lives, a certain period when it flowers, and a certain period when it dies. It's not meant to be kept alive for a prolonged time. So when you're getting mother plants and you're keeping them alive for so long, this is why you start to see genetics deplete from cannabis plants. So, with that being said, you're not going to necessarily be able to keep your plants alive that long to do any type of real grafting and things of that nature, which would be cool if you think about it because you could cross over and you imagine growing one like plant, but this particular cultivar have several branches and each different branch is a different strand completely with different
That'd be
cannabinoids,
wild.
terpenes, and
Be
everything.
wild.
Yes, and if it had a longer lifespan, or if there's some way we could give cannabis a longer lifespan, we could,
You would have to call it mystery because like every time you get a
yeah,
bud, it'd be like a different
yeah, it would
flavor.
be like the airheads, that had the mystery one where you never knew which one. That's kind of like you would get a seed and you would have like several genetics on this one seed, and it would be great,
It'd
dude.
be wild.
But they did this with why I learned about it years ago was from a guy did it with an apple tree. And over, I think 13 years or 15 years it took the dude, he grafted different branches onto this apple tree. And my first initial thought, period, when I seen this was like, cannabis, can you do this? So I like, I got into it. I was like researching. No, it's a herbaceous species, which means it flowers and dies out and, provides like an herbal, flower. And it's also a dioecious species, which it doesn't have a long life period. Now, there have been people that's kept, like mother plants for specific genetics alive for 2, 3 years tops. But understand for every so many years of growth, you're going to need so many cubic square feet of soil, so on and so forth. So you're going to have to ultimately probably do this outside. And you're going to really have to keep that mother plant from being sick. There's just too many variables that just don't lead into this equation. So we never did the video on grafting at all. We thought
Probably
of
not a
that
good idea.
immediately. Yeah, and it would be cool, don't get me wrong, Hannah family. It'd be amazing if we could sit there and do this video, but at the same time, there's just no scientific way cannabis is able to do this. So, there was no point in doing a video, yeah, and I didn't want to put any type of clickbait 'cause we hate that shit.
Right.
We hate clickbait. We decided against that when we started the channel. Like, it's just true and what the video is about. And, we're not putting any fake titles or bullshit to have you guys waste your time to click on, to be honest. I mean, just to put,
Yeah.
we're not doing that. We want you guys to see, what you're clicking on or what you're learning about. But yeah, going back to the cannabis thing, it would be cool, but unfortunately, you can only, breed together. And yeah, I mean, you can really go to a purity and purify those genetics, if you're breeding two together. But unfortunately, they do not, have a long lifespan. And we know this, especially things like autos and shit. And if you're trying to, kind of graft auto genetics specifically, that's just not going to work, period. And it wouldn't even with photo or feminized
Could you
or
imagine the both
yeah,
auto flowers would just freak out and start flowering as fast as they could?
probably. Yeah. We've also seen scientific research that, anytime like, for instance, you take an auto and an auto will grow. And let's say it's in like a 20-ounce solo cup. But once it reaches and it can finally realize that, hey, if I grow any more or out or expand my roots, I can become root bound. It seems like once it hits a stress sensor, that it automatically will, start to flower because it knows, hey, I'm at the end of my life
I'm gonna
cycle.
die.
I'm going to die. I can't go no further. And plants know a lot more than what we give them credit for. We've done multiple videos and some scientific videos that are pretty cool. But, they are aware of their environment. They're aware of how much feed, obstacles that are in the way in the soil. So they do have a way of honing in and knowing when their time is near, like they just can't uptake nutrients or, reach in their metabolism. They're not genetically, made to last years and years and flower over and over again. Now you can re-veg cannabis plants, but the yield's lower and, each time it
You
diminishes,
can't do it indefinitely. It's a
yeah, the
bad idea.
colorations genetically diminish, the terpenes genetically diminish, and you just see a lot of genetic diminishment. I mean, I don't know what the fuck to put it, but
But
it's
I
just
think
a
it's
lot
more
of that characteristics is
as
bred out,
yeah, as you're cloning, it's
Yeah,
stripping away, right? And it's losing, and it's causing some kind of genetic drift where it's drifting further away from what it truly is. I think maybe that's something that could be happening just due to the cloning process and the continual cloning process.
yeah, I gotta say.
If you're gonna clone a clone and then clone that clone and clone that clone, you end up with some messed up clones.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta say, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, you have all these, but it's best to use the most stable genetics that you honestly can,
And healthy plants.
Yeah, I mean, I've used a lot of F1s and F5s through it, but F5s seem going to be, and I mean, it goes up, and the higher you go up, the more stable the genetic. So you got more stable coloration, you got more stable terpenes. So just more stable genetics ultimately. And with that being said. you just start with something like that. But still, again, to do this whole experiment, you have, grafting, and you can't do that even genetically, DNA.
Yep.
Yeah, and it sucks. It really sucks because it would be something really cool. I mean, to grow a strand with multiple strands, I gotta say. I know I'm stuck on this, but this is so fucking cool, man. And unfortunately, you just can't do it. You can just cross, different phenotypes, or you can cross different,
Well,
genetics
you know what
and.
you might be able to do
Hmm.
is you get a big enough pot and you pop three seeds all in close proximity to each other in that pot,
Yeah,
and then braid them together at the bottom, right?
yeah,
So then it will look like there's three different weed plants growing on one plant, you know? That might work.
yeah,
It would look
yeah.
that way. It wouldn't really be that way, but it would look that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta say, it would be cool, man.
You just gotta get three different cultivars popped in one pot.
Yeah,
That sounds like a me project.
yeah, yeah. I gotta say, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, we just go through, genetics, and after seeing the genetics, man, there's only so much you can push genetics and so much you can do with genetics, and you can't, really graft or do anything of that nature, unfortunately. So with that being said, there's only so many phenotypes that you can cross pollinize and kind of crossbreed, mix with, and so many different options you're going to come out with. It's not like you can take all those
Well,
options and terpenes and
there's also
cannabinoid profiles and breed them all
there's
into one,
there's also
you know.
ways we can take gene guns from other plants and then blast them into the leaves and then grow that leaf
That is true. I
into a
mean,
plant, take that
maybe,
seed and make completely brand new plants that would have never existed in nature.
essentially, maybe through like, different, what's it called? Um, Different forms of genetic manipulation through DNA,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's how we could get
like,
new
yeah,
stuff eventually if
yeah.
we run out of things that to
I mean, they
crossbreed.
did that. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially. I mean, they crossbred like basically like sativa and indica with like ruderalis and things of that nature. So, you know, um,
I'm hopeful we'll see new
yeah,
brand.
yeah,
There's ways to do it.
they come out with
Gotta get creative.
ruderalis and autoflowers, different like
Or you
autoflowers,
could
just
take
by
like
mixing with sativa and the
imagine
indica. So it's like,
imagine taking the gene from a mango tree that gives it that mango flavor and then putting
yeah,
that into the cannabis to develop that particular terpene directly from a particular kind of mango. You know what I mean? Where I'm going with that line of reasoning and dialogue. Like you could improve those terpenes by injecting, or maybe you could find something crazy like I think it was the rose that made the orange sweet originally because they were in close proximity and the bees pollinated and cross-pollinated the rose trees with oranges and it made the roses sweet. And before that, we didn't know that. So what if we could find a gene in some other plant that we could put into cannabis that would make it more potent, make it more flavorful, improve the growth qualities somehow? Just do little things right down into the genetics because I know they've already been working on stuff like that.
yeah, yeah, that is a lot of things, and I mean, I think you can't. The
Well, you
thing
got to be
is,
careful which
yeah,
genes you're adding in.
that's
You got
true
to home in on
because,
certain things, and it's this
well,
terpene that
yeah,
you're stealing from this, and you're adding it over here to see if you can get it into that bud.
yeah, and the thing is, each of these things have a genetic structure, much
It's
like
very
a human
complicated,
being, and all the chains and the genetic structures got to fit perfectly, or these things can't
right?
really exist,
So you would have to have a perfect
So,
match between this genome and that genome for it to work,
yeah, yeah,
which would
essentially.
be really hard to do because you would have to go through so many tests until
And
you found the one that actually works.
um
Lots of money.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it
I
would
just need
cost
like
essentially a lot of money.
like $28 trillion worth of research. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that, I mean, you'd really have to focus on genetics and cross-pollination and breeding and
Just one sextillion.
so, yeah, so on and so forth, ultimately. But, was I going to say?
I'm sorry, I made you lose your train of
Oh,
thought.
you're good, man. No, I've smoked a lot of weed tonight, actually. I mean, it's been a pretty chill stream, man. You've seen a lot of people talking in the comments. And, it's always good to see, a lot of comments and get that comment section going. But I gotta say, man, we've probably been at it for about 2 hours now.
Yep,
We've went
definitely.
over everything, so we got new content coming out as always, Canna Family. Thank you guys so much, and we will be joining you on many videos and more shorts and things of that nature to come. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Sorry again, we didn't have a docket necessarily. We're just shooting conversation back and forth. So, for all you guys out there in the comments section, thank you guys so much. We greatly appreciate it. We will be back next Monday with another podcast. We will have a docket. Definitely things to talk about, fun, different topics. Shout out again to everybody in the comments section. Thank you very much. We've seen some people know what they're talking about. It's great to have some experienced viewers. It's great to have all you new growers that are just learning different techniques and different tricks at home and indoor grows. And we greatly love to show you guys along the journey and the way to grow this plant, simple ways, complicated ways, scientific aspects, and everything around. Like I said, today was just more of a chill stream. We're just sitting there talking, chilling with you guys, talking in the chat. We didn't have a lot of time to so much look into chat off and on because, me and Harry got into these conversations passionately and consumed a bunch of THC as always. But anyway, I'm not going to bore you guys. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Much love and great appreciation. Hope to see you guys again in the comments section. The next live podcast, it will probably be around either 7 o'clock, I would say, or early around 4 p.m. We will let you know. We
Yep,
haven't
we'll
got,
try.
yeah, we haven't really honed in just because we shoot a lot of content for you guys. So, again, shout out to you guys in the comments section. Thank you for joining me. It's greatly appreciated. Much love. And this is Harry Cola, and I'm Dustin from Two Buds in a Jar. I'll see you guys next time.
Sweet. Oh, shit.
God damn it, dude.
What? What?
We just, can you make sure it's off?